Hi, Joe Cerrone.
Al Rosen.
Welcome to our weekly meeting for CAD 116 Basic AutoCAD. This week, we're releasing chapters 4 and 5. If you take a look at the outline of topics, Module 3 is due today. And as we have talked before, we post videos on how to do the assignments. We also put the assignments in the main splash page. And if I go and show the announcement starting with 3, we can start with what's due tonight. So module 3 has you complete these general design plates. There are 5 of them. And then you can complete either the mechanical or the architectural drawing. If we look at the general design plates, I have them shown right here. And you could, if you wanted to, work off of your existing plates. And you can see I've changed some of the colors on these to demonstrate some concepts. And so this was our 5th plate. And if you wanted to, you could always right click and you could say move or copy. And what you could do would be to create copies and add additional layout templates to your existing, or you can just go and download the plate title block. These plates are designed to show you how to use basic draw commands. I'm going to go here and turn on my line weights. And it looks like my computer is just off enough. There we go. So if I turn on the line weights here, you can see it a little bit better. You can see there's some little things, but if you have the snap and the grid set to on, and to do that, what I usually will do is I hit this little hieroglyphic here and I say show menu bar. And then I like to use tools, drafting settings, and then I work these drafting settings from left to right. And we typically use these first 3 tabs. And so you want the snap to be on, you want the grid to be on, enable polar tracking, and you really don't need O snap. And so I'm going to turn off the O snap because it will have a tendency to gravitate to endpoints, centers of circles, and intersections. Whereas with just the grid and the snap, that should be enough. And so once you have that set, you can set the layer and the color. I've got the color overrode here. I'm going to say by layer. And then we start with these circle commands and we can just snap to our grid, right mouse click, repeat the circle command. And then we can complete these drawings in this manner. Yes, you can use modify commands. If you want to use a copy command like this, you could copy from the center of the circle to the other ones. It'll make things a little quicker for you. You can also draw 3-point arcs. And we could also copy those as well. Don't forget to put your name and the correct date on the title block. And then complete the other title blocks or the other plate drawings in paper space. Be sure again to update all the dates on the title blocks and submit that to the Dropbox. So that's one of the labs for lab 3. And then here's an example of the other one, this mechanical plate. And again, you'll use the mechanical title block. And to get that, if you need to, you can go to content And then you can go to title blocks. And so we have the plate title blocks right here, which you can download and open. It's opening up another version of AutoCAD, a little glitchy. And this is just a warning. It will mark that it's a student version. And then like we were doing before, make sure you go to the show menu bar, tools, drafting settings, and then make sure that your snap and grid, polar tracking, and object snap are set as configured. You don't need object snap. Okay, if we take a look at some of the other assignments, back to our main splash page. So that's due tonight, lab 3. Okay, and lab 3 is these plates. And then one of the mechanical or the architectural drawing. If we look at the other labs that are due, lab 4 is this polyline drawing. And there's a really good video on how to create polylines. And then you're to choose either the architectural drawing or the mechanical drawing. Here's the mechanical, the architectural. And if I go into my drawings here, let's see which one it is. I have 2 versions of AutoCAD now, so bear with me. Here's my polyline drawing. And you're to open the existing polyline drawing. And if I go to model space on that, you can see it. I don't need my grid and my snap for this exercise, but essentially we're going to rework these different shapes and sizes. And so when we work with polylines, we will use the polyline command, and then we will set up our grid and our snap. If I go to tools, drafting settings, and I enable my snap and my grid, and I okay that, then I can get the polyline command, and I can then draw these different shapes. And so we just kind of go like this. And I'm just drawing it above the area for those. And I know it's a little bit light. I'm going to type C for close, and then I'm going to enable my line settings. Not sure why I'm not seeing them very dark, but there it goes. And so once we have the polyline created, we can do analysis like area. And so I can say area, and then I can go down arrow here and say object, and I can click on this polyline, and it will calculate out the area. And then you're to put that in the text or in the drawing as text. And so you can say, okay, it's 1.25, parameter 6. If I hit the F2 key, it's a flip screen function, and I can then copy that information. So I can go here, F2, and I can copy this just as a shortcut. You can always just use the text command, and then I can come here and I can paste that. Clipboard paste. And so that completes that part of the exercise. And then we can also do things like adding chamfers and fillets and moving the vertices. And so if I go here to the, if I copy it, and then I want to chamfer it, I can set the chamfer parameters by saying distance, and it's already set, as well as set again. You need 2 values, and then I can go and I can chamfer these, and I can repeat the chamfer. I can also go to multiple somewhere in here. I know you use that one a lot, Al. Doesn't want to work for me today. And so you'll chamfer this. So if I go to repeat chamfer command, and then I say polyline, I'll do this one because I don't want to double chamfer the corners. It will then chamfer those edges. I can delete this one, copy this one. When you copy something, you select it, then you hit enter, then you give it the base point and the destination point. And then you can calculate out the mass properties like area, down arrow, object, select the object, hit enter, and then it will calculate out that area for you. All right. The other exercises are pretty straightforward. You can move the vertices with grips. I'll let you figure out how to change the width. A hint, what you do is you select P-edit, poly-edit. My computer's glitching a little bit. P-edit. And then you can select the polyline, and you can change the width to 0.125, and then it will make the width thicker. All right, so as we take a look at the other assignments, when you work on the lake, you'll use the sketch command. And so if I go to, let's go with green, and I type in sketch, when you click, it's best to turn off the snap and the grid because these are kind of free forms. And again, if I go back here to the sketch command, I'm going to go, I can say increment, and I can make a really fine increment. Let's say 0.05. And the smaller the increment, the finer the lines will be. And so what I'll do is I'll hold the mouse button down, and we can make these like topology lines if we need to. And then we'll get close to the end here, and we'll hit enter to create our Des Plaines Campus Lake. This one here, I would check the video on how to do this. You can use polylines with arcs, and I'll refer to that on our online within our D2L shell. So that's module 4. And then if we look at module 4, here's the polyline drawing that you need. And so you can open that up, and it'll come in as a template. And so there's a perfect version without any markups on it. And then if we come back here, there is an O-snap drawing, and it does talk about object snaps in the textbook. And you can then create O-snaps by going in enabling O-snaps. And then you can set it up for the modes that you want. So I could go with center and midpoint on this one. And then I can say, okay. And then if I draw a line, I can hover over the center and then hover by the midpoint, and it'll create that line. Now the hidden line color is yellow, so I'm going to make it darker because it's on a white background. You'll see it better. There it is. And then we can do other things, like we can go and draw a line. I think it's from the midpoint to the tangent. Shift right mouse click will get you the strongest O-snap, or it'll make whatever you choose by selecting in the right O-snap the strongest. And so again, if I go with the line command, shift right mouse click, endpoint, shift right mouse click, tangent, shift right mouse click. I'm not sure, I'm going to say quadrant, and I'll go with quadrant. Try it again, quadrant. and it doesn't seem to want to get the quadrant. If it doesn't, draw another line and then make sure that quadrant is on, and it probably is disabled here. So I'll enable it, quadrant, and then we can draw a line from the endpoint to the quadrant to wherever else we want to go with that. So object snaps are another general design type of an assignment. And then back to our main splash page here. And then as we look at module 5 is in our main announcement. I'm just going to go here. And module 5 has you work with these mechanical plates. And so you can draw this mechanical plate here, or this one, or the site plan drawing. And so if I take a look at those two drawings, here's our mechanical plate. You'll use the B size title block for that. There are instructions for these. And so if we go and we look at, here's a video on how to do the exercise. And I have the sound off, which is fine. We'll go through how to set up that drawing and create the drawing exercise. Okay, so that is our basic Zoom meeting. Remember that if you want to check what we're up to, take a look at the calendar. You'll always see what the assignments are that are due. The readings from the textbook match the outline of topics. And so if you go to the content area and you're wondering, what should I be doing? Look at the outline of topics. Everything is listed there. I've already downloaded it here. And so today's the 29th, and we're looking at module 5 exercises. And as we go through the chapters, we're looking at these chapters within the textbook that we can then take a look at in our contents under the basics. Introduction to drawing and editing, basic object commands, lines and standards. And as you go through, just read the textbook kind of to get an understanding. It's almost like reading a dictionary. You don't have to go and read everything word for word, but it will give you the objectives. And so as we work with CAD, things like the command line, and here's our command line right here, where we can then type a command. All right, line. And then as you start to work with AutoCAD, you'll get better at using those different commands. Back to our outline of topics. If you need any help, just instant message us within the alerts, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Al, is there any other things that we want to cover today before I end the meeting and recording and open things up for questions?
Not to my knowledge. I think we covered everything we possibly needed to.
All righty, I'm going to stop the recording and I'm going to open things up for questions.
Fantastic.
Thanks, and have a good week.